The 2024 NBA Finals between the Celtics and Mavericks begins Thursday in Boston. The 64-win Celtics going for their 18th NBA title, which would break a tie with the Lakers for most all time. This is Boston's second Finals appearance in 3 seasons. They fell to Golden State in 6 games in 2022. The C's entered the Finals having won their last 7 playoff games. Their last loss was in Game 2 of the conference semis against Cleveland. During this run, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have combined to average just under 57 points per game. As for the Mavericks, who are in the finals for the first time in 13 years, they've beaten 3 50-win teams to get here. Only 3 teams in NBA history, the 95 Rockets, the 01 Lakers, and the 2010 Lakers, have beaten 4 50-win teams en route to an NBA title. Speaking of the Mavs, they're going to be relying on Luka, Doncic, and Kyrie Irving in their quest for their second NBA championship in team history. The two have either scored or assisted on over 74% of Dallas's points entering the finals. That is the most by any player duo entering the NBA Finals over the last 25 seasons. And for a finals preview, we got NBA analyst Sebastian Christensen with us here. Sebastian, Boston would love to have Kristaps Porzingis on the court to counter that duo of Luka and Kyrie, but he's been out with a calf strain. How will his health impact this series?
Hey, Jay, how are you? Hope everything is well. You know, I think Boston would have a tough time beating this Mavericks team without Kristaps Porzingis. Good news for Boston. All signs are pointing to him being available in Game 1. Yes, Boston has won 9 out of 10 without Porzingis, but every matchup is its own world, and Dallas Bigs have been amazing all postseason long. Defensively, he will provide a much-needed rim protector for Boston, who looked kind of small at times against Indiana. And now Dallas suddenly seems like the second coming of Lob City. Offensively, he will provide range, more efficient spacing, a deeper rotation, and more important, maybe he'll put Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively out on the perimeter where they will be less efficient. Boston was so cautious with his recovery because they know, Jay, they needed him for this series.
Yeah, they do. Sebastian, check this out. I got something I want you to see. A fascinating matchup in this one is going to be Luka against that Celtics defense. Luka's opponents this season have been aggressive on defense, blitzing him on screens more than any player in the league when he had the ball. But the Celtics blitz just 1% of the time against on-ball screens, the second lowest percentage in the NBA. So, Sebastian, how should Boston's defense be game planning for Luka Doncic?
Maybe they can pray, Jay, a little bit. But truthfully, you know, Boston does not blitz much on screens because very few teams have the defensive versatility that Boston has. 2 regular season matchups, we saw mainly Jaylen Brown on Doncic. I think Brown will bother him a bit with his size, his strength. So can Jason Tatum, by the way. And truth be told, I believe Boston has the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. Drew Holiday is strong as an ox, probably one of the few people in the world that kind of can hold Luka Doncic at the point of attack. Derek White is a fantastic perimeter defensive. With one of them is on Doncic, I expect them to pick him up full court, try to fatigue him. You know, Doncic is a little banged up. His efficiency hasn't been the same in comparison to the regular season. He's going to get his production, but Doncic knows Boston will be his toughest test to date. Let's quote the great Bart Scott. Can't wait, Jay. Can't wait.
I think this guy next to me has pushed me to continue to work on my game.
It helped me mature a lot, to see the game in a different way.
Can't do it like we do this, and we demonstrate. Set the pace, I'm gonna live into just watch you elevate.
The leader he's been for us has been amazing.
Oh, how did that go in?
And he's built for these moments.
Stepping back for the win. He got it. He got it.
It doesn't mean anything if we don't win the ring together.
I want to win the championship here.
Oh, this is going to be good. Both Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving had 36 points in their series-clinching win over Minnesota on Thursday. It was the 4th time they've each had 30 or more points in a game this postseason. The only duo to have more such games in a single playoff year, Elgin Baylor and Jerry West. NBA analyst Scott Perry with us now. Scott, a major storyline in these finals is Kyrie returning to Boston. So what aspect of Kyrie's game should Boston be most wary of?
Jay, you've got to try to limit Kyrie's ability of getting into the lane because his penetration will break down any defense and cause Boston a lot of trouble in terms of having to rotate multiple times, creating open opportunities. This guy is too good when he gets into the lane and too efficient at being able to score and create for others. So that is the first thing that this Boston defense must do, is limit his ability of getting into the lane so it doesn't create havoc for this good defensive team. Secondly, and I've always been a strong believer in this, when you have an elite offensive player like Kyrie, you must make him work on the defensive side of the floor. And by that, I mean put him in extra screening actions. They have bigger guards on the Boston Celtics team. Post him up some. Do all that you can to make him exert as much energy as possible on that defensive side of the floor, so that later in the game, what you're hoping is that he's going to be worn down a little bit, so he can't be that special closer Kyrie that we've come to know, that where he can finish games. So you want to try to do the very best you can at taking away some of his energy by forcing him to play a lot of, be involved in a lot of actions on the defensive side and try to wear him down that way.
Scott, we've talked a lot about Kyrie and Luka as a duo, and deservedly so, but Boston has a pretty good duo themselves with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. When comparing these two duos, you actually give Tatum and Brown a little edge. Why?
Well, I would give Tatum and Brown the edge because of the defensive side of the ball. Look, I recognize that Luka and Kyrie are the most dynamic offensive duo of the two, but these two guys aren't too far behind on the offensive side of the floor. But defensively is where they can really stand out. Jaylen Brown came into this league as a very strong defender. He's been an all-defensive player at one point in his career. Jason Tatum has evolved into a very good defensive player as well. They helped lead this team to be the second-ranked defensive team in the league this year. They bring size, they bring athleticism, they bring length, and so that allows them to guard multiple positions on this floor. And let's not forget that these guys have been playing together for 7 years and played over 100 playoff games together. So this type of experience really matters and can be pivotal in this series.